Gotta be true to yourself. In a world there's nothing else. Gotta play the game right, gotta make your path. You scratch, you dig, you lay in your ground. You bustin' your rounds, nobody gon' stop you. No ops, no cops, everything about you. Looking good, you good, she good. Y'all people really wanna know the reason. It's that ripple effect. That's just that ripple. That's just that ripple effect. What you do, come back triple.
Hey, what's going on? It's your girl Kdot back in the ripple effect. You already know what it is, and you already know the vibes. If you don't know what this conversation is about, you're about to find out. And to all you new listeners, what's going on? And to all my loyal listeners, I appreciate y'all. Make sure you like, listen, and subscribe so we can keep this thing going. Because you already know I'm feeling some type of way today. Definitely not going to be a popular opinion. I'm kind of used to that by now. But what happened to Tua Tagovailoa bothered me. Well, you know how we like to talk about accountability, right? Whether it's coaches, the players, leadership all around, organizational wise. Dolphins have just messed up. Let's just call it what it is. I don't know what it is exactly about them. I mean, you can even talk about Flores and his situation. But listen, that hit on Sunday against the Bills. I mean, call it what you want about the hit. Let's talk about the reaction after the hit. Let's talk about going for his head. Let's talk about shaking his head like he could just shake it off. Let's talk about the stumbling, feeling woozy. I need to know exactly what is the criteria of this concussion protocol that the league or whomever came up with. And for those of you out there who are medical professionals on many different levels, right, you understand that protocols are what? They're guidelines. They are never to take the place of good clinical judgment. Never. I mean, I've been out the game for a little bit, but that much I do know. And when you see those signs and symptoms, right? Because, at least on my level, we don't diagnose or anything, like that. But I was once trained to treat signs and symptoms. When you see those signs and you see those symptoms, I would love to know what his blood pressure was. I would love to know what his pulse was, because that's just, the medic in me that just wants to get real. Like, what else was going on? What exactly was he saying to make you feel like he passed those protocols? I don't know. To me, it seemed as though the team put winning over that young man's health and safety. Period. And even, you know how it is in the sports world, right? We get over it. There's usually something else to talk about. And it's a short week for the Dolphins, right? Because they just played last night, Thursday night, Amazon Prime. I hope you have it. If you haven't, you better get it, because as you know, football don't stop. That hit, the way he was swung back, right? Elbow did land first, thankfully. Could have been a lot worse. Then struck the back of his head again. And then you saw, it was kind of hard to see exactly what was happening, but his hands in that fixed position almost looked like they were going inward. Like, the first thing I put up on my Facebook, I was like, is he posturing? Like, what is going on? Like, these are all the thoughts that are just going through my head as I'm watching games. I'm usually, kind of just say what's going on in my head. And I'm just like, that's not good. Now, obviously, that was, the worst case scenario. But I've never seen anything like that. I've seen pretty bad hits. We've already heard about, Ryan on the Steelers. Like that. Those hits, I mean, we're already seen RG3 situation with, Washington It was the Redskins at the time, but they're now, of course, the Washington Commanders. And you can't just help but think, like, really? This is 2022. And we're sitting here saying that, oh, the player, had all the right questions, answered, like, all those questions correctly. And everything is all good. Like, right? Like, everything is all good. And to me, I'm just like, if the NFL is really serious about protecting its players, just based off of your eyes, well, you talk about the eye test, but this is a different type of eye test, right? You see something like that on Sunday, and then I don't get it. I get it, but I don't get it. I assume, Tua Tagovailoa wants to have a life after football. How is he supposed to have a life after football if you're not going to protect him? And then people are going to say, oh, he wanted to play. What player doesn't want to play? That's what the coaches are there for. That's what the trainers are there for. The team doctors, everybody involved, even the third party, the independent people that have no connection to the team. You should use your judgment. Or did they just give them as little information as possible? Didn't tell them about Sunday and just told them about now. But even now, like, I don't know. Something smells, it is what it is. They can look you right in your face, right? I mean, the coach is sitting up there saying that it would be irresponsible if him to put, yes, and what you guys did was irresponsible. Tua shouldn't have been playing, period. You guys messed up. But it's funny, though, because the organization or even the NFL at large will be the first ones to try to preach, right, to the player about accountability for their actions. What about accountability for your actions? Speaking directly to the NFL right now. What about accountability for your actions? They failed in this matter. Grossly. When you look at the reaction after that hit, and Amazon really played it way too many times. Nobody really needed to see it that many times. And especially with technology, you already know that's going to get retweeted and everything else. And, it's going to get shared. But to keep playing it and playing it, that was a bit much. But to sit there and act like, oh, well, the doctors cleared him. He said he wanted to play. He answered all the questions. But you're going to sit there and tell me in good faith that nothing bothered you? No, your spidey senses weren't tingling. Like, you wasn't feeling like something's a bit off. Like, you felt 100% comfortable with him playing. Why? Because you guys have a winning record. You're undefeated. Pretty early in the season, but this is the kind of start you wanted to have. Playing against the Bengals, because I had the Dolphins winning this game, obviously, before everything, happened. Just because of the team that they have, I felt like they had something special. And just the way the Bengals have been playing, and it's a shame because I don't even feel like it's even responsible right now to even talk about the rest of, the game, at least right now, because at the end of the day, what are we even talking about? And then the same team that made all of these questionable judgments these last 5 days or so is sitting there putting out and telling us that Tua Tagovailoa traveled back with the team last night and, he's moving all his extremities. They started to put out all these little, pieces of the report as they're just coming in and just painting the picture that this was nothing more than just a concussion. Why are we belittling a concussion? Like, this is nothing more than, oh, he stubbed his toe. Like, why are we being so dismissive about a concussion? There are levels to concussions, and anytime your brain is in the conversation, any little thing is not such a little thing. That's huge. Everybody always wants to point to the big hits. No, it's probably the 1,000 little ones that you need to pay attention to, especially if they're associated with signs and symptoms. Like, and then I hear some people, I was watching later on, I think it was Fitzpatrick. Yeah, I think he was like talking about, oh, I was with Tua for like 2 hours, the other day, and he was smiling and laughing, and I'm like, so you can't smile and laugh and still have had a concussion the other day? I don't understand. Like, what exactly does that mean? Because you're smiling and laughing and be able to carry on a full conversation means that you're able to play football in a short week? What are we talking about? Like, so many people are justifying this, and it's like, I don't get it. And this is where it's going to get real uncomfortable. I know a lot of players, especially in the locker room, like to talk about the brotherhood or, how they're close, they're tight, they play for each other. Where was all the teammates when it came to Tua Tagovailoa on Sunday? I mean, in terms of, bro, we got it. You should not be playing. As a human, you shouldn't be playing. Where was that? Why was Tua Tagovailoa playing yesterday on a short week when he looked like he was concussed? And they can say it was a back injury, and what kind of back injury? You know what I mean? Because people sort of forget. Like, things in your body are connected. You know what I mean? Like, so, your brain is connected to the spinal cord, like you need bones connected to you. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like they're playing semantics a little bit, like trying to mix words, trying to confuse people. Like, oh, it was just a back injury. Oh, okay. But wait, what kind of back injury? Nobody wants to ask that question. That's a nice little follow-up. Like, what kind of back injury was it? Still could be in the neurological family. You know what you think about, the brain and spinal cord, central nervous system. I don't want to get too crazy. But really, that's what we doing right now? Back injury? Because they did say it was a head injury, and then they retracted it and said it was a back injury. If it were me, I think this should be obviously, when you start at the top, the responsibility always starts at the top. But those medical doctors, I'm reading reports of neurologists, that have watched this and were like, I don't understand what people are seeing, but there's no way he should have been playing. So I don't even know what those doctors were saying. When you talk about the coaches, just based off of what you saw, I mean, I don't get it. Even people were talking about different instances with Ryan Clark, and when he was with the Steelers, and how there was a team of doctors, pretty much ready to make a presentation saying how, oh, he's ready to go. This happened, but he'll be able to play. And coach was like, no. If you were my son, I wouldn't let you play. Like, straight like that. And that's big. That's huge. Right? Because for a minute there, he took himself away from football. Right? Like, he no longer put himself in the situation of, we have to win a game and we need everybody has to be all in. He removed himself and he was a human, right? He humanized himself and said, no, wait, I have kids. If you were my kid, I wouldn't let you play. But everybody's sitting up here acting like, in good faith, they let him play. Don't tell me that. That's just egregious. And then I have to question your judgment altogether. And these are the same people that are coming out and saying like, oh, Tua traveled with the team last night. He's good. what are we even talking about? You know, for all my medical professionals, especially first responders, did you see the way they wrapped up his arms in a stretcher, right? They wanted to make sure his arm didn't like flop out, right? The way they secured his arms too. You know, for many different reasons. Because look, minor things like that matter. Because I've seen plenty of people, carted off, you know, C-spine, C-spine precautions. Like I've seen, obviously, a lot for other reasons, but I mean specifically pertaining to sports. I've seen it. I've seen it up close. Whether it was just high school games, or even at the professional level. And it's like paying attention to all those details. The reality is we have no idea what happened. I don't think we can expect